before the end of the world arrived. By virtue of giving birth to a mermaid cub, I successfully secured a seat to escape into space. Meanwhile, the fake daughter who married a South China tiger didn't even have the qualification to enter the lottery. On the day of departure, the fake daughter used saying goodbye as an excuse to successfully kill my mermaid infant by throwing him down and stabbed a knife straight into my chest. Opening my eyes once more, I have returned to the day of choosing a beast husband. The fake daughter insisted on choosing the mermaid on the spot, hoping to escape Earth with a mermaid cub. However, she seems to have forgotten that the South China tiger is the truly endangered species in the galaxy. Don't marry the mermaid prince. Just as I opened my eyes, I heard the fake daughter's delicate, pampered voice. It was then I realized I had been reborn to the day when Lin Wanwan and I were choosing beastmen to marry. Looking at Lin Wanwan's determined expression, I knew she had also been reborn. I was swapped by a nurse as a child, and only returned to the Lin family at age 18. However, my parents felt a deep bond from years of raising her, and were unwilling to send Lin Wanwan back. Instead, they kept her as an adopted daughter, and made me call her sister. The beastmen we were to marry. One was a South China tiger beastman, simple-minded and wealthy, but with no living parents. The other was an incredibly noble mermaid prince from a tribe with strict rules. My parents tried their best to persuade me to marry the mermaid prince. Your sister feels she stole your life and owes you, so she specifically gave up this great opportunity. You must remember her kindness. At first, I really thought Lin Wanwan had found her conscience, but I later learned that after marrying a mermaid, one must transform into a mermaid oneself to follow them into the deep sea. The first step was to swallow the mermaid tribe's secret medicine, experiencing pain no less than that of human childbirth, coupled with the constant darkness of the ocean floor, and their relatively backward technology. My parents worried Lin Wanwan wouldn't be able to adapt, so they let me, a child raised on a farm, marry instead. Since I grew up in a poor place anyway, I wouldn't feel much of a lifestyle gap. However, 2 months later, the torrential rains arrived. All communication systems were destroyed. My parents were trapped on the roof, with no food or water. To save Lin Wanwan, the South China tiger swam out into the storm to find help, but died halfway through the ordeal. Lin Wanwan and my parents were then transferred to a cruise ship, relying only on the charity of others to eat. After the rain came the plague, and after the plague came the blizzards. The world was frozen shut. Many people froze to death. Lin Wanwan and the others were moved to an underground city. In 10 years' time, Lin Wanwan became nothing but skin and bones. At that time, naturalists announced that Earth was no longer suitable for any living creature. The Federation had built spaceships to find a new home. However, ship capacity was limited, and the requirements to board were extremely strict. Only those who made great contributions during the apocalypse could gain the right to the lottery. Spots are limited. Please submit your applications as soon as possible. Lin Wanwan and my parents had no contributions. They could only wait to die in the underground city. Just then, they saw on the news that I had given birth to a rare mermaid baby, receiving the blessing of the entire ocean race. Besides humans, the spacecraft also reserved spots for rare beastmen. By virtue of this baby, I directly obtained the qualification to board. Only then did they realize that whether it was rain or snow, none of it had any impact on the creatures of the deep sea. While they were waiting for scraps of donated food, I had lived comfortably for 10 years under the sea. Fuming with rage, they said they wanted to see me one last time before I boarded. After I let them into the room, my parents grabbed both of my arms, and Lin Wanwan threw my weak mermaid baby to his death on the floor. Then, she plunged a knife into my heart. At the thought of my mermaid baby, my heart ached. He was so small, so sensible. He had just learned to call me Mama. I looked at Lin Wanwan, wishing I could kill her. Hearing Lin Wanwan choose the mermaid, even our parents were a bit stunned. They thought Lin Wanwan had forgotten the primary condition of marrying a mermaid, so they winked at her frantically. Wanwan, have you thought this through? Why don't you think about it some more? Yes, Wanwan, you've had a cold constitution since you were little. If you go to live on the ocean floor, I'm afraid your body won't be able to take it. Lin Wanwan waved them off. What does that matter? Marrying a mermaid is just a bit of suffering. But if I don't, anyway, I've decided. I'm marrying the mermaid. Seeing her so persistent, our parents had no choice but to agree. They turned to me and said that marrying a mermaid involved great suffering. Your sister is doing this because she cares for you. You must remember her kindness. These words were truly familiar. I nodded perfunctorily. I will certainly remember. But in my heart, I wished they would hurry up and follow the mermaid Mo Liu to the deep sea. Lin Wanwan thought she could escape the apocalypse underwater and live like a goddess. Little did she know, Mo Liu was no mermaid prince at all. Racial discrimination in the mermaid tribe is severe. Those like them, who become mermaids later in life, are of the absolute lowest class. Mo Liu and his family were born to serve all other mermaids. On the night she transformed into a mermaid, Lin Wanwan's screams echoed through the entire villa. In my previous life, when I transformed, my parents' attitude was incredibly cold. They didn't even look at me once. This time, however, they waited outside Lin Wanwan's room, with my mother crying tears of heartbreak. My father asked Mo Liu if they really couldn't use painkillers. I got into the car of the South China Tiger, Qing Lai. Before leaving, I looked up at the home where I lived for 10 years. Mom and Dad were still worrying about Lin Wanwan, having no intention of seeing me off. I waited for a few minutes before my heart turned completely cold. Dry. Those 10 years living in the mermaid tribe in my past life were the darkest 10 years of my life. I was classified as the lowest class mermaid, having to calculate even my sleeping hours. Any mermaid in the sea was more noble than I. Anyone who saw me could step on me. And my husband Mo Liu, facing the provocations of those mermaids, not only pretended not to see, but sometimes, in order to please higher-ranking mermaids, he would even send me to their beds. Compared to that, I would much rather live in the underground city. At least everyone there was equal. During those grueling years, my parents were my only source of hope, but it wasn't until I died that I understood. They never truly acknowledged me as their daughter. Lin Wanwan was the only child they truly accepted. In my moment of sadness, a scented handkerchief was handed over. I looked up to see Qin Lai's golden eyes. Don't be sad. If you can't bear to leave your parents, I can buy the villa right next to my father-in-law's house. Queen Li was the only South China Tiger beastman remaining in this world. He had no living relatives left in this world. He came to my house to seek a wife because he heard my parents were of good character and wanted to choose a reliable family for himself. But in the last life, his life was not good, because although Lin Wanwan married him, she didn't like him at all, beating and scolding him constantly. In the end, he even gave his life to save her. Yet, in this life, not only did Lin Wanwan not choose him, she didn't even say a single word of thanks. Don't buy that villa. How much money do you have? Qin Lai was stunned for a moment. He pulled an account book from the gap in the seat. I counted it, then said to him directly, "Are you willing to let me manage this money?" At our first meeting, I know this is a bit of a difficult request. Who would have thought? Qin Lai would say to me without hesitation, "You are my wife. My money was meant to be given to you anyway." Seeing that serious look of his, I was a bit moved. I couldn't help but reach out and touch his beast ears. Qin Lai enjoyed it very much, even spinning in circles on the spot, wagging his tail and begging for more pets. In my memory, the torrential rain fell intermittently for 9 months, but the water level did not submerge the mountain peaks. I used Qin Lai's money to buy 4 hotels on the mountain. These 4 hotels had over 400 rooms in total. I filled the warehouses of every hotel to the brim. Besides the hotels, I also bought 10 cruise ships. Each cruise ship also had hundreds of rooms. I then coated the ships and houses with 100 layers of waterproof coating. After everything was prepared, I used the rest of Qin Lai's money to buy gold. When everything was ready, Lin Wanwan made a video call. With a mysterious look, she told me, "Sister Chu Xie, I'll tell you a secret. The apocalypse is coming in 3 days. Only the merman tribe can escape this disaster. Come to the seaside. I'll take you to the bottom of the sea." The signal was poor and laggy underwater, but I still saw the red marks on Lin Wanwan's wrists and arms. I feigned surprise. "Apocalypse? Really? How would you know that?" "Don't worry about how I know. Just hurry to the seaside. This is the only chance for survival." Mudslides blocked the rural roads. Many people moved to higher ground. Then what about Mom and Dad? Starting by going upstairs. Should I pick them up? Then heading up the mountains. As soon as I finished speaking, finally, the Federation mobilized cruise ships. My parents' voices rang out and established water shelters. Chuxia, Mom and Dad already came here. It's wonderful. You should hurry over too. Looking at the thick foundation on their faces, I realized my parents had also become mermen. They had lost a lot of weight, and the areas not covered by foundation were covered in sores. Even so, they still told me it was wonderful there. In my previous life, it wasn't that I hadn't asked my parents for help, but they just thought I was complaining over nothing. They said with the extreme weather on land, life was much harder for them than for me, and now they wanted to pull me down there, to suffer in Lin Wanwan's place. I feigned being moved. Okay, I'll go to the seaside right now. Afterward, I directly threw my 24K pure gold phone into the trash. Luckily, Chinlai has plenty of money to support my spendthrift ways. 3 days later, the heavy rain began to fall. At first, people thought it was just an ordinary rain, until it rained continuously for 5 days. Villages were washed away. Back on the third day of rain, when the water just started to accumulate, we were already sailing the cruise ship everywhere for rescue. Whether human or beastmen, as long as they called for help, we took them all in. The 400-room hotel housed 6,000 refugees. Everyone hoped this disaster would pass quickly. However, after the torrential rain came a plague. I distributed the stockpile disinfectants to everyone. Experts began to predict that a blizzard would arrive in 6 months. There were even rumors leaked from an authoritative agency that this blue planet was slowly losing its life. The Federation began building underground cities and spaceships. I donated all of Chinlai's remaining gold. When the rain ended, a reporter interviewed me about saving tens of thousands of refugees. I appealed to everyone in society to help the country build the underground cities together to overcome the difficulties. Soon, the underground city was built. Because of our special contribution, Quinn Lai and I were allocated a slightly larger residence. Compared to our previous house, it was indeed nothing to look at. But compared to those dormitories with over a dozen people squeezed into one room, it was much better. In our 6th year, living in the underground city, the Federation developed spaceships. While news about the selection for boarding qualifications was buzzing everywhere, Lin Wanwan and my parents actually found me. The moment I saw them, I almost didn't recognize them. After not seeing each other for a few years, Lin Wanwan was as thin as a bamboo pole and had a long scar on her face. My parents' situation wasn't much better, especially Dad, who had even lost a leg. My mom was holding a small child in her arms, likely the merman baby Lin Wanwan had given birth to. But I had been raised plump and fair by Chinlai. I even had a little belly recently. The moment they entered my home, Lin Wanwan started with the sarcasm. Chusha, how can you only think of enjoying your life here and not look for Mom and Dad? Do you know how much we suffered trying to find you? Especially our dad. His leg was broken because of you. Because of me? As for Chinlai and me, I find it more likely they tried to escape the seabed, were caught by Mo Liu, and then had their legs broken. I feigned shock. Ah? Is that true? But you were all living so well under the sea. Why did you suddenly come ashore? Mermen have both merman and human forms. However, even when transformed, they cannot live on land for too long. Over time, their skin will begin to ulcerate. Back then, many low-level mermen who ran away went back dejectedly, and their fates were more miserable one after another. Before my parents could speak, Lin Wanwan spoke up. It was because we were worried about you. Do you know how much effort it took us to find you from the sea? Deserving of the toil, I looked confused. You've misunderstood me. I heard that mermen's skin rots if they stay ashore too long. I'm afraid you'll have problems. How about I contact brother-in-law Mo Liu and have him come pick you up? However, that name was like a curse. The moment it was said, I saw Lin Wanwan's body tremble. Terror was also written in my parents' eyes. Mother was stunned for a moment and grabbed my hand. My child, you must never contact Mo Liu. Actually, we snuck out. I pretended not to know and let out an ah. Mother's tears fell. To get out? Your dad's leg was broken by them. That place is simply not fit for humans. You must not send us back. Lin Wanwan couldn't save face and got anxious. Mom! How can you tell her all this? Now the only one who can save us is Chusha. I've had enough of the life of serving and cleaning up after others. I never want to squeeze into that sea cave with 20 people again. Chuxia, can you let us stay here with you? Just giving us one room is enough. However, facing my mother's expectant gaze, I withdrew my hand and lowered my head, letting half my face fall into the shadows. That won't do, Mom. My tone was sincere. First of all, I'm not the master of this house. Secondly, as you can see, our home is small. We can't take you in. Lin Wanwan suddenly flew into a rage. Lin Qixia! Are those even human words? These are your biological parents. Do you have the heart to watch them live like this? I laughed. That they are my parents is true. But weren't you the one they raised by hand? They gave all their money and love to you. And in the end, you want me to fulfill the filial duty? Isn't that a bit unreasonable? Lin Wanwan's face turned pale. My parents' pupils also shrunk slightly. They finally realized that I had known all along. They were playing me for a fool. I pointed at the door. Please leave my house. If she hadn't seen the things in the fridge, Lin Wanwan might have just left. But now, there was no way she could leave. After all, outside, never mind pork, even rat meat cost a fortune to buy. Since you feel our parents have wronged you, then you shouldn't be staying here even more. Don't forget, if I hadn't given Chin Lai up to you, would you even have the good life you have now? Just as I was about to call someone to forcibly kick them out, Qin Lai returned. Lin Wanwan actually rushed up to him. Qin Lai, the person you were supposed to marry at the beginning was me. Even though it went wrong, it doesn't matter. There is still a chance to fix it now. I am willing to return to your side. Hearing this, Chin Lai's face darkened. He gave her a fierce glare, then jogged all the way to my side. Wife, I don't know this old lady. Truly shameless. Seducing someone else's husband in public. Leave quickly, or I'll call the guard unit. In the end, Lin Wanwan left dejectedly. Before leaving, she didn't forget to shout, Lin Chuxia, don't get too smug. Do you think you can survive like this? I'm telling you, the spacecraft is about to open boarding slots. I hold the only chance to get on board. When the time comes, don't beg me to take you with me. I gave a chuckle. We'll see. Soon, the official organization released the conditions for boarding the spacecraft. First are those who have made significant contributions to the world. Second, one person from each species of beastmen will be selected for boarding. Third, high-intelligence humans will be selected. Even if these three conditions are met, a lottery will still be held. But there are always exceptions. Qin Lai and I were selected for the first batch to board. Meanwhile, Lin Wanwan, who thought having a mermaid baby would get her on board, was not among these three types of people. Even though we were underground, the internet was still very advanced. Soon, a video regarding Lin Wanwan was posted by someone. In the video, she was holding her thin and dark mermaid, shouting insults at official personnel. Not allowed? Are you talking about me? I protest. I think there is a problem with your selection criteria. Why can only those rare fish get on board? Despite the official personnel explaining repeatedly that it wasn't about being a rare fish at all, the reason she wasn't selected was because someone from her mermaid species had already been chosen. The video spread widely. Many people mocked Lin Wanwan for overestimating herself, but some supported her remarks, feeling that this kind of selection criteria shouldn't be used. While I was watching this video, Lin Wanwan's voice came from my front door. Lin Chuxia, get out here. After I went out, Lin Wanwan glared at me intensely. Did you pull some kind of trick? How come in the last life, you gave birth to a mermaid and were selected? But in this life, I'm not good enough? I feigned ignorance. What are you talking about? I don't understand. You must have said something to the officials. They erased me from the list. Otherwise, how could you be on the list without even needing to draw lots? I kindly informed her. The reason I am on the list is because Chin Lai is the only South China tiger beastman in this world. As his wife, I naturally get to go with him. After all, the heavy responsibility of breeding South China tigers can only fall upon us. Lin Wanwan's face was instantly written with regret. The only South China tiger beastman. Why didn't she think of it? As long as she protected Chin Lai well in this life, she would have obtained the ticket to board. She thought that by stealing the mermaid, she stole my opportunity. not knowing that from the very beginning, she had handed the admission ticket to me. Despite her unwillingness, Lin Wanwan was still taken away by our parents. As she left, she was still obsessing. Why was I selected to board in the last life? After having a child? If she had known having a child was useless, she wouldn't have waited until she was pregnant. To escape the seabed, I looked at her departing figure. How could you possibly imagine? It's because my child in the last life didn't belong to Mo Liu at all. I don't know the exact name. I only know that Mo Liu gave me away to a very old mermaid. He passed away after I became pregnant with his child. That old mermaid was one of only 2 surviving new species mermaids in the world. However, I never imagined my parents would have the face to come beg me to give my boarding chance to Lin Wanwan. Especially at the moment my mom knelt before me. I thought she had gone mad. Let it go. Mom and Dad did wrong by you. But this isn't Wanwan's fault. Anyway, she was the one who should have married Qinlai in the first place. Just give it up. Go underground with Mom and Dad. And let me compensate you for the maternal love you lost, okay? Ha ha ha, I was beyond shocked. Who would give up their life for that worthless maternal love? I refused directly. Lin Shuxia, since you are unwilling, then let's all die together. Just like in the previous life. Both my arms were held tight by my parents. Lin Wanwan held a knife and rushed straight at me. But this time, she didn't succeed. Qinlai and the guard unit were stationed by my side. The moment Lin Wanwan rushed out, they caught her immediately. Lin Shuxia, so what if you are Qinlai's wife? He is a South China tiger. But you are not. You've been together for so many years without a child. It must be your problem. He will definitely find someone else. You aren't guaranteed to board the ship securely either. I leaned down and said to her, sorry to disappoint you, but I'm pregnant. Lin Wanwan's face turned pale. She knew what that sentence meant. The 3 of them were taken away by the guard unit. Conditions in the underground city are limited. A prison cell won't be more comfortable than a 20-person dorm. After the guards took them away, Qinlai suddenly asked me if it was true. Qinlai's hand cautiously touched my belly. I smiled slightly. It's true. I thought I had just gained weight, but I only found out yesterday that I was pregnant. Soon, the day for boarding arrived. Before boarding, I decided to do one thing. I went to see Lin Wanwan and the others. I told them. The officials specifically allowed me to bring 1 family member. I still wanted to bring all 3 of them up, but there was only 1 spot. I told them to discuss it. After saying this, I didn't leave. Instead, I went to the monitoring room. I saw that all 3 of their faces were filled with joy. I knew it. Chuxia isn't a cold-hearted person. Great! Since one of us can go up, then let the baby go up. He hasn't enjoyed any blessings since he was born. Lin Wanwan's face darkened immediately. What are you saying? If anyone is going up, it has to be me. How can we let the baby go up? Without this opportunity, these 3 might have stayed united against the outside world. But in the face of the survival instinct, no one is a saint. At this moment, my mother interjected. I think you should let me go. The only person Shuxia likes in this family is me. It's most appropriate for me to go. I can even look after the grandson. Lin Wanwan sneered. What are you thinking? Among us all, you are the least deserving. Although Lin Wanwan and my father often bullied my mother, back when they were under the sea, they had never stated it so bluntly before. Hearing this, my mom's eyes instantly turned red. Haha. How am I not worthy? I am the one who contributed the most to this family. It seems the Prime Minister was right. You really are an ungrateful white-eyed wolf. Lin Wanwan didn't expect that regarding this matter, my parents would suddenly stop taking her side. She was furious. She pulled a knife straight out of her hair and stabbed it toward my mother's body. My mother didn't have time to react. She looked at the knife in her body with disbelief. I said you aren't worthy. You just aren't worthy. My dad was also dumbfounded. He ran over and picked up my mom. He called out to her several times but got no response. When he placed his hand by her nose, he found there was no breath left. He shouted loudly, Lin Wanwan! What are you doing? She is your mother. She is not my mother. I'm not even your biological child, you old geezer. Shut the F*** up. If you talk more, I'll kill you too. My dad was completely stunned. He never expected the daughter he loved most, the daughter he gave up everything for, to show such a true face in the end. Tears instantly fell from my dad's eye. I really regret it. I should have set you back at the beginning. To think I would, for a person like you, abandon my own biological daughter. I saw his tears through the surveillance monitor, but I felt absolutely nothing in my heart. Perhaps late-coming affection is cheaper than grass. Maybe because Lin Wanwan had committed murder, or maybe because my father's heart had completely died. He crouched in the corner, holding that poor mermaid baby, staring blankly for a long time. But the next day, the prison staff told me that my dad and Lin Wanwan were also dead. Only after checking the surveillance did I find out that my dad sat in the corner dazed until night, while Lin Wanwan, thinking she could still board the ship, dressed herself up nicely, and even stole my dad's drinking water to wash her hair. At night, after Lin Wanwan fell asleep, my dad first said goodbye to the cute mermaid baby, then took off his belt, wrapped it around Lin Wanwan's neck, and forcibly bid her a final farewell. Afterward, my dad wrote a letter, and then used that knife to commit suicide. That letter was handed to me. It was over 100,000 words long. All those 100,000 plus words were apologizing to me. He said he had mistreated me, that I had no joy in the first half of my life, and suffered so much after returning to the Lin family. He didn't want to cause me any more trouble, so he committed suicide so I could board the ship in peace, and not think too much. But he didn't know that I never intended to forgive them at all. It was just an excuse I thought of to make them destroy each other. I didn't shed a single tear after reading the letter, because this letter simply came too late. Afterward, I boarded the spacecraft's rocket. There, I successfully gave birth to a South China tiger beastman. The little tiger was very cute, always reminding me of that brilliant, golden mermaid baby. Until one day, I asked him, "How did you choose Mama among so many people?" The little tiger thought for a long time, and solemnly told me, "Mama, we have met before. A long time ago we lived in the water, and later it became a small black room." I instantly burst into tears. After I gave birth to the mermaid baby, we did indeed live in the water for a while. I was afraid that taking him straight to shore would cause harm to the mermaid baby. After going ashore, we were rescued and assigned to a small dark room. I held my child tight. I was certain that this was my mermaid baby. He had come back for me. 30 years after the space mission began, the apocalypse on the blue star finally passed. Just as the scientists said, this planet has an extremely strong self-healing ability. It can heal its own wounds. However, though the apocalypse is over, the exact conditions on the surface are still unknown and need some people to go down and explore, as well as rebuild our home. By then I was already over 60 years old and had given birth to 4 children. Trinley had also gone from being alone to having many descendants. In this life, the two of us had no more regrets. So Trinley and I both signed up and became the first pair of pioneers to go down. This spacecraft had lost contact with the ground 10 years ago. Everyone thought that there were no living creatures left on the ground. But in the second month after we returned to the surface, we met people from the underground city, including some of our old friends. They told us that these 30 years had indeed been very hard, but Mother Planet had not abandoned them either. We thought no living things could grow. But then someone in the underground city discovered a plant. That plant was like a mushroom. It didn't taste good, but it could sustain life. I think this is the mystery of nature. It is very powerful. It can lose control, but it can also bring new hope. The disaster has passed. The new home will definitely be built well, possessing a higher degree of civilization.